is it? It's dungeon time! So here we're taking a look at dungeon time. Now in this game, players are going to be all working together to try to resolve a certain number of mission cards. The game is played in two phases, the first being the adventure phase, and then that will follow with the resolution phase. Now at the start of the game, before you start, you are going to have a mission deck of cards and your item deck, and the mission is going to depending on what difficulty you're playing, whether you're playing in a campaign. Now there are some other mission cards over here that you can use to make the game more difficult. You are going to start with two of these mission cards already in someone's hands. The game itself is played with everyone shouting at the table what they need to complete the mission cards they have in their hand. For example, if I had this one in my hand here, I might be telling everyone at the table that I need a bow and a torch. Now what's going to happen is people are going to be playing cards into this backpack, and as they do, they'll be shouting out what they have. So now we know the backpack has a torch, which happens to be one of the items I need. Now if at some point a bow gets played into there, I can immediately play my mission in there. And the cards are always played face up, and you're just going to keep doing this frantically until either you're out of cards, there are no more mission cards available, or the 5-minute timer has run out. Some notes here is you do want to keep track because mission cards also give you something. So in the case of this card here, we see that it does reward us with a sword. That's going to count as a sword in the backpack. So you have to keep track of those things in order to not end up with too much in your backpack in the resolution phase. Once we're done with the real-time adventure phase, then we're going to move into the resolution phase. Now in the resolution phase, you're going to be pulling the items out of the backpack, and you're going to flip the deck over, and as you pull things, you're going to be putting them in slots of the backpack. Now the backpack can only hold a certain number of items. So you could put items in each of these spots, and each slot can only hold 3 of the same item. So if you ever go over 3, then you have to start filling in another slot. When you find an adventure card in the resolution phase, you take those items away from the backpack. Any items that you receive from cards themselves are put into the backpack via these tokens, and there's 2 of each in the game, and if there's a token available, you must put it in the backpack. If at any point during the resolution phase you have to place an item into the backpack and there's nowhere to put it, the resolution phase ends immediately and your game is over and you have lost. However, if you get all the way through the resolution phase without breaking your backpack, and you have completed the required number of mission cards for your specific setup, then all players have won. Now a couple notes here before we do move to the review portion is there's a few other things in the game that are optional, such as we have these character cards, and these character cards can be assigned to players and give you an extra ability throughout the game. There's also some story cards that will allow you to play a story within the game, and it really depends on how you want to play. The rulebook allows you to play in one-shot scenarios, but also in a campaign mode with bonus scenarios, so you can make a night of it or just play a single round. One other thing that you can do during the adventure phase is if at any point you have a card in your hand that you just don't want and you don't want to put it in the bag, you can simply discard it, but you do need to be careful because there are a limited number of item cards in the game and you might end up needing that item later. So that's a look at dungeon time, or as I've affectionately been calling it, Go Fish played in a dungeon. And I don't mean that as a knock on the game, it's just that it uses a mechanism within the adventure phase that feels very Go Fish-like. You're going to be shouting out, I need this, I need that, and others are going to be like, I have it, and putting it in the bag, or I don't have it, and you might have to throw cards out to get it. And that's going to feel kind of Go Fish-like. Now, the game is not really a party game, but it's not really not a party game either. It definitely has that vibe going, especially during the adventure phase. There's going to be a lot of shouting at the table, laughing, and just frantic nature of it during those 5 minutes. And those 5 minutes is an interesting thing, because for me personally, I found that 5 minutes felt like it took forever, whereas other players felt like that 5 minutes was not nearly enough time and it flew by. So you may feel either direction in that. The artwork in the game is decent. It's simple, but it's not overly simple. It's good enough to get the job done. I really did enjoy this game, but for me personally, I enjoy this game more solo. The game does come with solo rules, and I love this game solo. I can set it up really quickly. I can play a game. Now, it's not a 5-minute game. It's more like a 10-minute game because it's probably going to take you about 5 minutes to go through your resolution phase. But I can continually play multiple games of it without too much concern about time. Multiplayer, for me personally, I'm not as big a fan of it, only because I had a hard time of keeping track of things. The one thing you have to really be aware of when you're playing in the adventure is that you're going to be getting those rewards, and if you don't keep track of the rewards that you've given, you're suddenly going to find yourself with a broken bag during the resolution phase. All in all, I really do like this game. I think that this game has a place in my collection, especially as a solo game, and I think given its low price point and the fact that it's simple to teach almost anyone, it's probably something that you might want to try in maybe one of your game nights. I hope this review has given you an idea of whether or not Dungeon Time might be a good game for you and your friends, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.